Peace and blessings, family. It's your boy Gerald. It is the weekend, Saturday, the 14th of July, 2018. How is everybody doing? Up early in the morning, y'all. Starting my day giving thanks by placing Him first, by grounding my feet, only speaking my truth, and allowing Him to guide my steps. So I'm going to multitask this morning because I got a busy day working on the yard. Got the yard right. Got a green thumb, y'all. Broke out my riding lawnmower, even though I have a manual. I prefer the manual. Manual happened to die. Well, it didn't die. The kill the kill switch on it that keeps it continually running. The cable, it's old, so I gotta go get another part and fix that one. I fixed my riding lawnmower yesterday, which I'm really proud of myself because for about 3 months, almost four, it sat in that shed over there. Let's see if you can see it. Sat in that shed, and I allowed the fear of not being able to progress rob me of time. And because the regular lawnmower that I normally use, the manual, because the cable died off, well, it's old. Because it did, it put me in a conundrum because I'd already did one side, and I wanted to fix. I wanted to finish my yard, and actually that would end up being. Y'all hear that? There's a turkey buzzard flying over my place right now. It's huge. See if I can get him on film. There he is. See? And there's a hawk. Wow. Ain't a sign. I don't know what it is. That's a hawk. Here you go. See if I can get him. They out there on the prowl. Look at that hawk. Okay, that means something is dead. It smells something. I take that as it's a sign. Because maybe, because animals have representation in spirituality too. Some of y'all know them as totems. Um, why it stopped, but we're gonna pick it up. Um, the indigenous community knew that what animals meant and what they represented, from their strengths to their actions. They represented every facet of life. But that's not why you came here for this video, is it? No, it's not. Mm-mm. Some of y'all saying, Gerald, I need the meat and potatoes. I feel your energy, but I'm gonna segue what I just saw into what I'm supposed to convey. Because life is about the predator. Life is also about the prey. And as you progress through life, sometimes you will take on the characteristics of both. Now, what does that mean, Gerald, in regards to your title? What does that mean in regards to your definition of what self-love is? Because people throw that around so cavalier these days, but their behaviors do not exhibit what they're saying. So I'm going to tell you what self-love means to me. When you choose to love yourself, Love. You've made an unconditional commitment to your life. Every facet, every flaw, every challenge, every strength. It is all woven to make the most perfect gift ever, and that is your existence. That's you, your uniqueness. That's why you don't look like the next person. Though we have a commonality and we share in certain behaviors and certain perceptions and ideologies, but it's still your story. It is still your journey. It's still your walk. Now, for some people, they say, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how do I apply what you just said to my life? Where's the reference on that? When you decide to love yourself, you are going to first allow that voice. You might know it as your conscience, but actually it's that little boy or that little girl that still lives in you to this day. Oh yeah, you think because of the calendar and the experience or the financial status that you have is what defines you? No, because all those things can be taken away. We see it all the time. As well as it's been said in Scripture, those who are last will be made first, and those who are made last will be made. Those who are first will be made. Those who are last will be made first, and those who are first will be made last. But guess what? When you have a setback, it's really a protection. It is actually a setup. If you allow yourself to reflect, to take note, to bear witness all that you have seen, to measure that with, you realize, first of all, stop dumbing yourself down. I got it. I know we have some people that think that, well, you know what? If I keep what I know to myself and go along with it, it'll get me further in life. All that does is make you strategic. But what you don't realize is, what if that choice, because it's what it is, wasn't the choice to be made? Maybe that choice was to be still, to take note, to use that beautiful word called no. You realize how many people don't use that word, no? Because it sounds brutal, don't it? I know it do. He said no. She said no. But think about it. The word no really means under review. It doesn't mean forever. It means setting the template, the bar. What will you accept compared to what you will just go with? You realize how many people this morning are waking up somewhere that they don't want to be? No, I'm not talking about because of events. I'm talking about because of impulse. You realize how many people are singing the classic Shirley Murdoch, "It's Morning," or the M2Me classic, "You, Me, and He." But at what price? What price? I always echo to people, not everybody's supposed to know your story. Just as everybody's not going to earn the right to walk with you, know your name, or let alone be able to watch you grow. Which is the greatest gift ever. The greatest gift ever you can bestow to somebody. The greatest ability to show that precious word, Love, is presence, not the token, time. Because see, no man has the ability to master time, nor possess it. That's why we should respect it. But it depends on your priorities. Now, let's go back to the gist of the title. See, when you love yourself, you got no problem investing in yourself. You got no problem sleeping too. Not getting slept on. What do you mean sleeping? See, not to talk. You hearing this? If you hear this background noise, that's old Mr. Man down here. Yeah, I love him to death. Keeps me humble. When you love yourself, you don't have to worry about, the term thirst? Because when you're thirsty, you seek it out to quench whatever it is, a desire, a fixation, an obsession, or a direction. But when you love yourself, you're content. You're at peace. You're comfortable in your own skin. And you don't have unnecessary burdens on you. You don't have unnecessary worry. You don't have to worry about if, I always joke, I say, if you're spending more time looking at your cell phone than you are your life, you ain't living it. It's true. It's true. But see, we live in a world where everything is about the status. Who finishes first? Who has the biggest presentation? Not the cost of the presentation. And then they wonder why you're empty inside. That's where that moment you hear people say, well, I was frozen. I was acting out. No different than what a child does in its early development in its teens. You hear the term they rebel. He's acting out. He's smelling himself. She's hot in the pants. You know why? Because they're searching for identity. They're searching to belong, to fit. But what if you just took 50% of that effort and the person that you were looking in the mirror every morning, you gave that back? You know what happened? Your life would drastically shift, because then you would see what we call your worth, your value. And I joked with somebody, and I said, if people would spend more time focusing on their dreams than how many people that they sleep with, they'd be paid. But you know what? We live in a world nowadays where status seems to be king and monetary shows power, but that's nothing but an illusion. And I'm gonna tell you why. Look at the people that have a platform that is not doing what they need to do. Why they look so weary? Why is it you turn around and you're hearing stories of disappointment, but we always hear people say, well, you know what, if I had their life, I could do this, I would do this, I would do that. Not taking into consideration, don't you think they would have thought that too? Because monetarily, monetary gain gives access. It sets the tone. But what you decide to do with that tone depends on your outcome. But you know what you can't do? You can't buy love. You can only temporarily possess it. Sit down. Sit down. Sorry about that. He making all this. Lay down. He's a little ham, y'all. Every time I'm on video, for some of y'all that have been following me, y'all know every time I got this camera on, he gonna make sure don't acknowledge. You better acknowledge me. Of course, I got to. Now, what does self-love mean to me? It means being able to be comfortable with criticism because I know my worth. It also gives me validation that, as I would always echo, this conversation is for the intended heart, mind, and spirit because not everybody is going to share your point of view. And the reason for that is they have to focus on something else. Granted, we have a commonality that we all share called human beings, mankind. But at the end of the day, you still got to go home to you. You still got to lay in that bed. You still got to lace up them shoes. And you still got to do your task. Nobody's going to do that work for you but you. I remember one of my favorite, sit down. One of my favorite old-time hip-hop songs. And everybody got a bunch of them. But one of my favorites was by this group called Houdini. And it was called One Love. And the reason why I like that song so much, first time I heard it when it came out, I was in my early teens. It wasn't the fact that how they arranged that track, but it was the message that they put in it. And if you've never heard that song, if you never heard it, just go up here, put in Houdini, One Love. Listen to the examples that they give. I say that because that song was deemed a classic for a reason. One, it was positive. Two, what they were talking about is still relevant to this day. They talked about friendships. It talked about love. It talked about respect. But it also talked about wisdom. And if you listen to it, I guarantee every example, for the most part, you either know someone or directly have experienced it yourself. Now, why is self-love so important? Quite simple. Until you decide to love yourself, you truly will not understand your life. And if you don't understand your life, how can you understand what is being shown in it? I'm a firm believer that God has a way of using that term, history, not to punish man, but to educate man. I really believe he's saying to the intended heart and mind, do you understand what I'm showing you? Do you understand what happened? Can you see the synchronicities that are playing out again and again and again? Now, I know some might say, well, Gerald, you just an old head. You talking about this stuff that has no relevance, but listen, I think every day that I wake up, because that in itself gives me validation. I'm doing right. I have work still to be done. That means the journey continues. Now, let's spin that off real quick. Okay, I'm back. I laugh at that because it just shows me that this message is going to reach the intended heart and mind, and it's going to change your life. And that's okay. Take it in. It might not make sense today, but it will in the intended time. Because you got so much that you're going to see, so much you're going to experience. But here's the beautiful thing: some of your most impactful time of your life, guess what? It's going to be by you, by yourself. That's what change is all about. That's what maturity is about: growth and direction. Why? Because that's when you should go introspect. This is all about insight and wisdom. That's what it's about, y'all. Not getting caught up in the Joneses. If I told you this is something that I realized, and I joke about it now, but when I realized it, I was kind of like bothered. If you took 50% of the effort on the things that did not matter, do you realize that you'd be a millionaire? I know some people say, that's easy said. No, think about it. Think about it. Think about the stuff that you cavalierly invest in. They have no merit. They have no merit. And this is not to rag on entrepreneurs. No. Society's based off of balance, supply and demand, goods and services. But it's defined by value. What do you value most? And you'll realize the most important asset out there is transparency. It's being unique. Because you'll also understand those people that have mastered that, may it be good or bad, they got platforms. hmm And they have a way of being able to influence those who are impressionable. That is, our young, our babies, those who wish to make sense of their lives. Now, guess what? Now, let me go back to that setback. Because some people are actually terrified that they're going to have a setback in life. But let me tell you this: it depends on how soon you're willing to take accountability and acknowledge it exists before you can progress. Okay, I'll break that down again because I know somebody's saying, I don't understand. Think about it this way. Remember, I just told you how yesterday I did my yard. I did my lawn. I did my lawn. Let me show you. I did this side with my manual. Got up crack of dawn and did it. And after I had done it, I started having problems. But I realized those problems were actually my motivation for something I should have done all along. That gave me the motivation to pull that riding lawnmower out and fix it. It also gave me motivation to complete my task. So if I had never gone through the regular lawnmower acting up, I would have never been motivated to mess with what had been a burden before, and that was the riding lawnmower. Now, what does that have to do with love? It's quite simple, family. See, when you love something, you would do it for free. You would, because you already see the value in it, its uniqueness. It's a passion that is ever yearning. Now, how's that relevant in the human dynamic? Because some of y'all who know my story realize that, as I told you, I was a late bloomer. In my 20s, I was a womanizer. Not directly, indirectly, but the commonality was I wanted to be loved. I had this ideology that if someone gave me the same energy that I put out, no matter what I faced, I was good. And that, Queens, I will say this to you. Keep this in mind. Because a lot of y'all are dealing with this in different times of your life. And when you decide to see it, you can make the corrective choices if you so choose. A lot of times, people will get caught up on the packaging, or they will see the potential and overlook the specifics. And all that does is give you a temporary result. And I'm trying really, really hard to be PC, because what I want to say, I've got to reach the intended heart and intended mind at the level that you're on. And some people, let's be honest, your attention span is like 5 seconds. That's common. And so sometimes I got to speak to you on a level that you can understand. Not to insult your intelligence, it's just to reach you on that level that you're at. So here's my disclaimer. You realize how many people have a love affair with their pain? They have a love affair with hate and the reaction that it generates. Think about it. Why do you think we have people that are stalkers? Now, from a narcissistic standpoint, you could say, well, that person's on my tip. They're on my jock, or they smelling my skirt, and gives you a false perception of, well, it doesn't matter what I do, they always going to be there like a lost puppy. And that's like the ace in the hole. But what they don't realize is eventually that lost puppy will find its own way, and it will adapt to the environment that it's been given. or that environment will destroy. And I'm saying this for two reasons. Number one, the strongest element about your life, other than your spirit, is your temple, that beautiful body of yours, and everything about you. And that is why, socially, especially for us guys, it is heavily promoted for the young boy to go off to manhood. He must sow his seed and procreate as much as he can. But what they don't tell you is, when you give up yourself on the physical level, number one, that is the ultimate gift. But it is also where the two spirits become as one. They're not going to tell you that part. That's what soul ties are about. Who am I talking to? And I know some people say, well, Gerald, I don't go to church, and you on this biblical stuff. And I'm not feeling that right now, because that's not where I am. A lot of that is because it's fear. And it's not to disrespect you or your life. It's because that's just, you haven't been willing to open that door, to look within. And I'm not trying to spend too much time on that, but just think of it this way. If you didn't have a spirit, why are you holding on to your pain? What about those things that happened in your childhood? Who am I talking to? Some of you may have gone through a tumultuous breakup. Been there, done that. Some of you may have been raised in an environment where the people that should have been protecting you and illustrating your development were the ones that were causing the most destruction. And you think that that doesn't have a bearing in your direction or how you see life? Think about it. But here's the thing. Even if you don't have a connection with your spirituality, just from a intellectual standpoint, how can you justify, how can you validate those bad feelings that you still hold on to? Why are they there? Why is it that if you hear a name or see a face, or you're brought back to a certain environment, it automatically brings back a certain feeling that you had the moment that you were there the first time you stepped foot? It's because you got a spirit. You always had, always will. Now, on a different note, I've been very blessed and fortunate to talk to countless people from where I work, from all over the world. Even when I wore that beloved United States Air Force uniform, and those boots all over the world. And the conversations I've had still resonate within myself, because these were conversations that were needed to prepare me for where I'm going, where I'm headed. Now, not everything that you take in will have merit. That is why that beautiful brain of yours is so important, because It is easy to be swayed. It is easy to be misled. It is easily to be deceived because you do have some people out there that want to take you for a ride. And they see and they know your potential, they know your gifts, and they want to benefit without earning it. They want to get the benefit without the effort. Now, what does that do? What does that have to do with self-love? Well, it's quite simple. If you're fortunate, that your instinct will kick off and say, hey, I've seen that before. I've heard that before. And I know this outcome. And your wisdom will kick in and say, no. Now, it's our nature to always want to give the best and see the best of all people. But what about the environment? What if the environment that you're in is not the best environment to begin with? You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that? What if that one choice? See, I got a feeling right now somebody's going to make a decision that was based off of impulse because it looks good, it may sound good, and it's going to cost you more than you're willing to put out. I mean, we used to say this in the military. I used to tell my troops all the time. You know, I would always tell them, like on when we would have our 3-day weekends or just a weekend and stuff. I would tell them, hey, be safe out there. Whatever you do, call me if you need me, but don't do anything that your wallet can't withstand. Because what happens when you get in trouble? They're gonna go after your paper. They're gonna break your pockets. They're gonna take something that you value away. And it could be your time. It could be an opportunity. It could be a choice. Now, I say that because you always, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, for those who've been on my channel, first of all, thank you. I love hearing from you. If you got any questions, concerns, or just something that you want feedback on or something you want me to talk about, drop me a line. Drop me a line. I try to be punctual and get back to you. But I will say on my end, it's been pretty busy, especially in my professional life. I've been really, really busy. But drop me a line. Let me get back to the whole point. The moment that you decide to love yourself, because for some people, you have some people that have this position to today that's like, I don't want to have nothing to do with that word. I don't want nothing to do with it. But those are the same people that if you ask them, they won't tell you why. Because that's pain. There's something that was left undone. And the worst thing you can do is say, well, I'll put this on the back burner, I'll get to it. Now, maybe the outcome that you're looking for is not ready to be revealed. But I do tell you this. If it is of the human dynamic, relationships, bonds, the better you have a relationship with yourself, the better understanding you will have of what you need. Did you hear me? Think about it. You always hear people say, it's all, I mean, you hear it everywhere. It's all in media. You always hear this. Um, and Queens, I love you. I'm not bashing you. I love you. But you hear women say this, and you do hear guys, you say, well, I'll just use women. So I want a man. Do you ever question why you say that? I want a man. But can you finish the sentence? I want a man because I'm saying this to you because you don't want a man. You need someone that will respect you. And guess how you get it? That's right, when you love yourself. You realize how many people are in relationships based off of financial backing or status? As soon as that financial status, or financial backing and that status changes, they're gone. Leaving you to figure it out why. When it wasn't you. It was never you. It was what you brought to the table. And what they could benefit from. Yeah. Now listen. I know somebody's going to be saying, that's not always true, Gerald. I've never seen a situation where someone deliberately invited somebody into their life to wreck it. What y'all got to talk about? Because you can do bad by yourself. Or, see, I would be remiss not to even, I got to speak this. Y'all do know that demons exist, right? So, no, I'm not talking about demons that you see on the media with the horns and the pitchfork. We're talking about the spiritual realm. You see the greatest work by the behavior of the people that they possess. When that behavior mood shifts and you don't understand where this is coming from, that ain't them. That's just a broken vessel that is being used. I know somebody can be mad at saying this, but it's true. Just like you look at what is the majority these days on the media? Reality-based TV, right? But why is it reality-based TV doesn't demonstrate reality? Why? What does it promote? It's not positive. You say, well, it's entertainment. It's only entertainment if you embrace that mentality. Think about it. Think about it. Queens, you know I love you. They got you dressed up like the lady of the night. And socially, what is the norm now? To give homage to the lady of the night. Who was the lady of the night? The Jezebel spirit. And who was Jezebel? Jezebel was a beautiful woman that craved for power, status, and she manipulated the king I think it was Nimrod at that time. I could be wrong. And eventually cost him his life. And she used her vanity but she really made a pact with the devil. And you look at society today, God ain't in this. He's not. And a lot of people getting rewarded. And you've probably seen this indirectly in your life. You say, well, why is it this person is getting they're progressing in life and I'm over here suffering? They don't deserve that. What you don't realize is because a person goes forward doesn't mean they get ahead. That might be just the platform for their fall. That's why every year there's an example of what? Somebody that was at a high echelon falling from grace. And that's what the norm is nowadays too. Notice all these people are being shamed, and that's the thing. Shame. I'm gonna shame you. It's like you think people deliberately put themselves in positions so that they can. Why? Because number one, they don't love themselves. They love their wealth. They love man, and they don't honor God. So guess what God does? He shows you time and time again, and then he says, okay, you don't need me? I'm going to get out of your way. And everything that you were being protected from comes into your life. Now let me throw this back. So you turn around and say, I want a man. I want a man. I want a man. And what happens? That man comes into your life and you think he's the man of your dreams. But he's the man of your nightmares. He might be the greatest lover you ever had. But then he depletes you. But why is it? Because he does not know himself, and he shares the same commonality as you do. So listen here. I'm going to get off my soapbox, and I'm going to ask you this. When are you going to go and say, I love me? For those people that may be going through some rocky times this because you had relationships that just up and broke, listen, take this time to heal yourself. Look back where your life was before they came into it. And one more thing. I put a video out called Fool's Gold and Rock Candy. I put it out about 3 years ago. And that was when I was in my apartment. I had dreads back then. Yeah, I had dreads. And oh, speaking of that, here's a reason why you gotta love yourself. Look at this. When you love yourself, you raise your frequency of your body. The body has the ability to heal itself. So you may be believing you've convinced yourself that your best years are behind you. I'm here to tell you no. That's why I'm growing my hair, Queen. You say you can't grow your hair? Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna dread my hair up in about 3 weeks too. Return of the dreads. Well, I'd love to hear from you. But just know, you want control of your life? It starts when you love yourself first. Be blessed. Have a blessed weekend. And of course, thumbs up. Peace.